Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole from the 4th District of Oklahoma. It's another one of our weekly chats about what's happening in Congress. There hasn't been a lot on the floor, but it's still been a pretty eventful week in Congress. Probably the big event certainly is the impeachment process has now moved from the House to the Senate. Got a vote on that. The Speaker, who had held up sending over the articles of impeachment to the Senate for 4 weeks, finally relented. She figured out she wasn't going to be able to dictate what the process in the Senate would be. That was going to be up to them. And she gave that up, named 7 impeachment managers, all pretty reliable liberal Democrats, frankly in pretty safe seats. I think she didn't want to run any risk with incumbents that were from Trump districts, and then sent the articles over amongst much fanfare. The Senate next week will begin the trial. We're told on Thursday. They'll hear from the House impeachment managers making their case. They'll hear finally from the president's defense team offering a rebuttal. Then any senators can ask any questions they want. They don't do it directly, but they submit them to the Chief Justice who presides over the Senate. Then the Senate will make a decision as to whether or not it can render a verdict immediately on the basis of what it's heard, or does it need additional witnesses, additional documents? Frankly, despite whatever happens on that score, I don't think there's much drama here because we all know there's simply not the votes to impeach. And that raises the question about why we did this in the first place. I think Speaker Pelosi actually back in March set out the appropriate way to proceed, which is she was not going to move on impeachment unless there was bipartisan support and unless there was a national consensus. Well, she did proceed without bipartisan support and without a national consensus. And so far, all the polling we've seen suggests that nobody's mind has really been changed, and I don't think anybody's mind going forward is likely to be changed. I'd recommend to anybody that is still undecided on this, please just go read the transcript of the original telephone call that sparked this whole thing. Remember, it was one telephone call and then one whistleblower who remains anonymous and who did not hear the call in question that eventually put us into this entire impeachment debacle, which has divided the country and to which there's no resolution that's possible in Congress. Particularly disappointing to be wasting this much time and creating this much controversy and division when the American people are going to make a final decision about the president in November of this year. And we should let them do that and put all the information in front of them. In the end, you either believe this was impeachable or you don't. I think if you read the 8-page document, you'll come to your own conclusion, and then that should settle the matter. But at the end of the day, politically, there's no way 20 Republican United States senators are going to switch sides. You might get 1 or 2. You probably get 1 or 2 Democrats that move the other way and think this wasn't impeachable. But it's been a colossal waste of time. On the more productive side of things, you have to give the president a little bit of credit. He's pulled in 2 big trade deals this week. Amidst much fanfare, he signed the Phase 1 agreement with China. We still have a lot to do there. There's no question the Chinese continue to routinely violate international trade norms, not fulfill their obligations under the world trading system that they've agreed to but never followed. But there's still considerable concessions toward the United States position in this Phase 1 deal, a commitment which we'll see if the Chinese honor to purchase up to $200 billion more of American products, particularly agricultural products, over the next couple of years. So this could be a very good thing, and I think it's certainly moving in the right direction, but we're going to be dealing with China for a long time to come. But again, give the president credit here. I think even more substantively, the Senate today will actually pass the so-called USMCA, that is the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal. That's a huge, huge thing. Canada and Mexico are our 2 largest trading partners, both larger than China, so together they are by far the most important destination for U.S. exports. 40% roughly of what we export goes to one of those 2 countries. We import a lot from them as well. Commerce between our countries has been a very good thing. for all three of us. But to regularize it and put it on firm footing is extremely important. And frankly, it probably strengthens our hand in future negotiations with China. So this is a big, big win, first and foremost for the American people. Every study we have suggests it'll create a minimum of 175,000 new jobs, up to $70 billion or more in long-term economic activity that would not have occurred without it. So this is a genuinely big deal. So on the economic front, two big victories for the president and for the country. I think on the political front, frankly, something that's going to continue to waste time and complicate our effort to pass things, and at the end lead to political division and stalemate in Congress. But at the end of the day, the American people will make the final decision in November of next year as to not only this, but an overall verdict on whether or not they think the president merits re-election or not. That's the appropriate way, I think, for us to proceed. I accept the decision of the American people. I think what we've seen in Congress has been nothing more than a political stunt designed to both damage the president and score political points. When you launch something like this and you know you don't have the country behind you and you don't have bipartisan support, frankly, I think you're responsible for the turmoil and the division that spins out of it. This lowering impeachment to be a mere political weapon in partisan warfare is a huge mistake, and it's something that I hope, having seen it unfold one time, the American people let both parties know, don't do that again. If you're going to impeach the president, make sure it's serious, make sure that it warrants removal, make sure there's bipartisan support, and make sure there's a consensus in the country that's the right thing to do. Speaker Pelosi set that standard, she just didn't live up to it. So we'll proceed now. Hopefully with this out of the House, we'll return to more normal legislation. I think we will, but it's going to be pretty choppy going forward. It's a political year, and so we're going to see political motives on display. But there's still the opportunity to do some big things for the American people in terms of drug pricing, in terms of surprise medical bills, and in terms of getting our business done on time and making sure that the day-to-day governance of the country in support of our men and women in uniform goes on in a regular and orderly and predictable fashion. So look forward to seeing you next week.